hearing about misery. I mean, that's what it was. Depression, anxiety, and suicidal feelings. It really took a toll on me. And I really felt kind of stuck and helpless. Uses hypnotherapy to help pinpoint the cause of a particular issue that we're working on. It's just a method. When I say modality, it's a method of working with somebody, Yeah, some people are less suggestible, but most people, if they want to be hypnotized, can be hypnotized.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes From Scratch podcast. I love having really good conversations with really good people. Today is no exception. I'm excited to welcome the Kimberly Walker. How are you this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I love it. I'm doing well. The children are keeping me busy. The dog is keeping me busy. Life is going the way I think it should. So all is well. I won't complain.
Okay.
I tell you what, before we dive too deep into our conversation, I like to start these episodes with what's giving you energy this week.
That's an interesting question. I think that what is giving me energy this week is I'm just trying to stay focused on putting things into place as I work on my business. The Lord keeps me. And so those are the things that I think are giving me energy this week.
Love it. I love it. Well, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. We talked for just a second before we got started about the fact that my children had me up this morning making pancakes, and I just appreciate being held accountable to the name of the podcast. You know what? It's a beautiful thing. However unintentional, I think it was meant to be. So I'm glad to have that experience and glad to be here this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. Okay. So one of the things I want to make sure we get a chance to spend some time on is things that you've overcome throughout your life that help you to become who you are. But before we dive into that, let's get into who you are. That's what. So, Ms. Kimberly, how do you introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Dr. Kimberly Walker, and I'm a psychiatrist with more than 30 years experience.
Beautiful.
I am a wife, a mother, involved in my church, and I'm a golfer. So those are ways that I describe myself.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. Yeah, I've been trying to tiptoe into golf, and I'm trying to be okay with the fact that it's okay to not be good. It's okay to not be good. I'm I'm gonna give myself grace when I step on the green, and I pray for grace for the folks that are playing with me. Because it doesn't go as I would hope. I would say that much.
Yeah, golf is a sport that even if you think you've got something mastered, something else falls apart. So it definitely keeps you humble.
That's it. I love it.
Yeah.
Now, uh, doctor and psychiatrist, and did you say 20 years?
Over 30 years.
Over 30 years. My goodness.
Yes.
Something has to keep you committed to the work of an industry for 30 years. What has kept you locked in for that much time?
So, I really felt committed to trying to relieve suffering. That was really what it was about. When I went to medical school, I didn't plan to be a psychiatrist. I thought I wanted to be an OBGYN, but I need my sleep. And although I love delivering babies, being up in the middle of the night, being sleep deprived just wasn't going to work for me. And happily, I found that I enjoyed talking with patients. So that is really how I got steered into psychiatry. So,
Wow. Okay, I see.
mhm,
I
yeah.
see. Well, good stuff. I'm sure that the folks that you've had an opportunity to work with truly appreciate the fact that um, you bring the presence of who you are, but also the knowledge and understanding that comes with the type of career that you've had. So thank you for the work that you do.
Um, thank you.
All right. So I think it's time to get into this conversation about what are some of, I guess more importantly, what's one particular challenge that you've had to overcome that you feel has helped you become who you are, has prepared you for the work that you do? Is there something that you've experienced that stands out to you?
Well, I think that a really recent challenge was, which has actually caused a bit of a pivot in my work, is I really became burned out in 2021 as a psychiatrist due to the COVID pandemic, as many mental health practitioners and other practitioners have.
Mhm.
So finding myself burned out, I used to have an office and then I'm in front of a screen all day long and hearing about misery. I mean, that's what it was, depression, anxiety, and suicidal feelings. It really took a toll on me. And I really felt kind of stuck and helpless. So I found myself wondering, am I really going to be able to continue to do this work? But I knew I wanted to do the work, but I knew I had to make some changes and I had to do less of the heavy, heavy work. As a human being, there was only so much I could deal with. So, in searching for what I was going to do, how I was going to help myself, I ran across a modality called Rapid Transformational Therapy, and the initials are RTT.
Yes.
And this modality uses hypnotherapy to help pinpoint the cause of a particular issue that we're working on. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to get certified in this in order to help my patients because I think it could be a really good way to help folks. And in getting certified for it, of course, I had to have sessions myself. And then all this stuff came up, all these limiting beliefs that I was not aware that I was operating under. They came up, and it was really illuminating. And the process allows you to kind of look at those thoughts and really resolve those thoughts. And then I decided, this is something that I really wanted to do. And so in addition to being a psychiatrist, I am coaching using this modality. And I'm working with professional women of color who have kind of struggled with the oppressive systems that we deal with and end up feeling stuck. So that has been a large part of what I'm doing now and a challenge I had to kind of overcome.
Ah, ah, okay. So I have questions,
Sure.
but
Sure.
before I dive into the questions, I don't want to get stuck on this word modality. I've heard it before. It sounds industry specific. What does modality mean?
So I mean, it's just a method. When I say modality, it's a method of working with somebody. So method would be another way of describing it, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
See, now I don't want the doctorate to get in the way of folks understanding what's going on.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
appreciate the explanation. Uh, so you come across this modality, you dig into it, research it, you experience it yourself. What makes you feel like it's something that's effective or useful? What has attached you to this specific modality?
Yeah. So what I found really exciting about this modality or method
Yeah.
is that hypnosis, which I can talk about more, hypnosis partners with the unconscious mind in order to make change. The unconscious mind is ready to accept positive suggestions. And a lot of traditional therapies, a lot of talk therapies, um, they work with the conscious mind, and the conscious mind is trying to keep us alive, trying to keep us safe. So the conscious mind is a gatekeeper, and as a result of that, is rather resistant to change. So even positive change can feel dangerous So a lot of traditional therapies can take a very long time because you're trying to break through the resistance. And RTT partners with the unconscious mind to pretty efficiently look at root causes, and then the ability to make change is really magnified. So that's one thing that I was really fascinated about.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. Now, hypnosis.
Hmm.
I get nervous thinking about hypnosis,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
How do you help people understand that hypnosis can be leveraged as a tool rather than it being something that you should be worried about?
Sure. So, I mean, I explained hypnosis, and hypnosis is really, it's actually a natural state of
Mm,
deep relaxation and concentration. So, if you have driven your car somewhere that you are pretty familiar with, obviously you're going to pay attention, but you don't have to be laser focused on every single thing you do. Sometimes you get to your destination and you can barely remember the trip.
yep.
So obviously your eyes have been open, but that is kind of you've been in a trance state, a light trance state, and
Hmm,
that is the trance is moving on to hypnosis. So it's kind of like a light form of hypnosis. So
okay.
it's just kind of an exaggeration of something like that. Um,
Ah,
yeah,
okay. I
yeah,
get that. Makes sense. That
yeah.
makes sense. I love it. Right. Now you got me thinking about like how many times have I been in a trance while I'm driving?
Well,
Okay. I don't
anytime you zone out, I mean, you
yeah.
can sit somewhere and zone out, and you're kind of in you're in a light trance like that. Yes.
Now I've heard that hypnosis for some is not as like some people are not as susceptible to hypnosis.
Mhm.
How does that play out in in the sessions that you had?
So, yeah, some people are less suggestible,
Okay.
but most people, if they want to be hypnotized, can be hypnotized. Now, there are certain personalities and certain careers where someone really uh, wants to remain in control.
Mm,
Because it's really all about control, and you remain in control with hypnosis. But there is this idea of if you really want to remain in tight control, you may not want to be hypnotized. So, sometimes folks in the military, uh, police officers, sometimes they are going to be less suggestible. But if they want the method, uh, it can work. It
okay.
can.
Oh, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay. Now we've talked about the fact that a recent challenge created a bit of a shift for you that sort of moved you in this direction.
Mhm.
But we also have to acknowledge that 30 years in an industry plus a doctorate, that's a long ride. That's a long
Mhm.
ride. And I think it takes a level of resilience and tenacity and stick to itiveness that doesn't come without their own challenges.
Mhm.
Is there something that comes to mind for you that really prepared you for the journey that you've been on to get to that place in your career where you went through this challenge and experiencing that helped you recognize the value of sticking to it, of pushing through what needs to be done so that you can become who you are today?
So, with respect to challenges, I want to say that I was blessed to be raised by good parents,
Yes.
and I'm from Philadelphia originally,
Hey, all right.
and my parents moved us to the suburbs of Philadelphia in Bucks County. So pretty much all white suburbs because there was gang fighting in North Philadelphia, and they just wanted us out of there. So while I had a good education, I had good friends, but there is also the challenge of knowing that there aren't other people around who are like you. And And that's one thing that I did not recognize had played such a role until really the hypnosis, because some scenes came back that showed feeling like my beauty as a Black person was not celebrated,
Ooh,
uh, feeling like I was different and couldn't connect. So those things played a role. But, my folks said, you work hard, you do what you're supposed to do. And I had lots of advantages. So I felt I needed, I definitely wanted to do the best I could.
okay.
So that's what you do. You put your head down and you do the best you can.
Love
And I did not suffer a lot of racial discrimination. In training, racial stereotypes came up. A
right.
professor used a racial slur. Things like that happen, and it hurts, but
Yeah,
you move forward. So, growing up as a Black person in America, we have challenges, but
that's it.
I am blessed to be able to be in a position where I am, and so I'm thankful.
I
I'm
love
definitely.
it. No, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. When you think about all the things you've had an opportunity to experience professionally, is there something that stands out as an experience that you're most grateful for?
Hmm. I think that I am most grateful for the opportunity to be a child and adolescent psychiatrist and to work with families, especially families of color who have certain challenges. And when someone sees a practitioner that looks like them, there is a level of feeling, okay, I'm going to be accepted.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be judged. And their gratefulness really, it really warms my heart. So that's one thing that I'm very thankful for.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh man. Okay. All right. I like the feel goods. I like the feel goods. Because I think it really resonates for me. Because when I think about the experiences that I've had in leading people or coaching people or supporting people on an individual level, the experience of seeing eyes light up, the experience of seeing moments of clarity shine across a person's face, and the appreciation that comes with that, and like feeling that ring in the room, that's a really powerful moment. So I'm glad that you've had the opportunity to experience. I pray that many, many more people have the opportunity to experience that in their careers, in their lives.
Mhm.
Um, it's just a really powerful moment. All right. So we've talked about some of the challenges you face. We've talked about some of the things that you're most grateful for in your career. And, I mentioned this before we started, but Pancakes from Scratch, the idea for the podcast, it really came from this experience of what French toast. It's my favorite food growing up. Love French toast. And my mom used to make it. And I go to mom and say, Mom, can I have some French toast this morning? Well, no, it takes too long, need too many ingredients. We don't, imagine my surprise when I found out it was eggs and bread. Okay, all right, got it. Thanks, Mom. Uh,
Well, cinnamon.
yeah, a little of this, a little of that. Yeah, absolutely. But now all of a sudden she's got grandkids. And they look for that pancakes from scratch on a regular basis. And she's got all the time in the world. They get all the pancakes from scratch they want, all the flour and eggs and sugar and butter and all. Okay, well, the thing is, there's so much work that goes into putting together the foods that we love. There's so much work that goes into creating the environment that allows us to enjoy the moments that we share as
Mhm,
we enjoy the meals that we have.
mhm,
Um, and I think pancakes from scratch, it speaks to a couple of ideas. The one idea being that there are things to overcome in order to become, right? We have to put the ingredients together to make the thing.
Mhm.
But also, there's something about food. There's
Mhm.
something about food and the way it brings us together. And I'm looking for what lies at this intersection of food, culture, and ambition. I
Mhm.
think there's something there.
Mm.
And so, all of that to say, what was your favorite food growing up?
So I have 2 that come to mind.
Okay.
So you mentioned pancakes, and
Yes.
my father made great pancakes, and he put ricotta cheese in his pancakes, and it just adds
Okay.
it adds quite a nice touch. And my mother made spare ribs, and she put them in the oven, and she put some kind of tomato mixture and the onions, and you could just smell it caramelizing. And oh my gosh, that was awesome. I would eat so much that I would get sick, but it was so good.
Okay, okay. I'm not bad at it. I'm not bad at it. I'm gonna have to look into this whole ricotta cheese thing. Try something out. But the spare ribs, I'm not gonna lie, that's something. It sticks to you. It sticks to you.
Mhm.
What I realized, and just thinking about the experiences that I've had with my favorite foods or with family meals, is like the food is good. I enjoy the food, but it's never really about the food. It's really about the moment. It's about the experience of it all.
Mhm.
Um, and what I talked about with one person was this idea that your favorite food has this tendency to um, lock in these core memories
Mhm.
or create an experience for you that encourages you to want to create that experience for other people. And I thought, man, how beautiful is that?
Mhm.
To go through life enjoying meals with family and friends, and the whole time your subconscious is like, yeah, we're gonna do this. I like this. We're gonna see if
Mhm.
we can do this for the people that you come in contact with. And I think there's a subconscious conditioning that happens to encourage us to become the type of people that we are today. And that's what drives the ambition that we have. And
Mm.
that's what creates the op it, it creates in us the capacity to do the work of going on this journey to earn your doctorate and stick with a 30-year career and get exposure to something new, a new modality to practice this work that you've already become great at, and shifting your practice. It's it's so much more than just I really like pancakes. I really like spare ribs, and
Like it.
so I
Yeah.
think I think there's a lot of power there, and I think it's one of those things that just got stuck in my head. I've been really, really thinking about it and considering it. Um, and in this moment, I just appreciate your mom's spare ribs and appreciate the fact that that allowed you to become who you are and gave us the opportunity to hear from you and get this insight and perspective and the opportunity to work with you um, as a resource in all the lives you've been able to change.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And, as you're talking about food, I think one of the things that strikes me is the care that goes into making the meal. It makes you feel loved. You know that that person cares to go to that trouble to do that, as opposed to, I'm not putting down microwave meals, but instead of throwing something in the microwave, to take that time to make something from scratch. It's love. And food
It's
has such an emotional meaning.
true.
Mhm.
It's true. Yeah, it's one of those things that took me a long time to realize, and I'm glad I did, and I'm glad I've did the work to put together a platform where we could call attention to it. And take a second to think through, like, oh yeah, I hmm, didn't realize that was a thing, but here we are. Um, so I appreciate you taking a little journey with me to think about this stuff, and but also just sharing time and space, because you didn't have to do that, and it's very, very much appreciated.
My pleasure. Thank you for
Yes,
having
of
me.
course, of course. You keep doing incredible things, and I look forward to learning more about this modality and being more open to the idea of hypnosis. Explore what's possible for me. You keep doing great things. I'm sure we'll talk soon. You take care, all right?
You too. All right. Bye bye.